Imagine you're standing in a hospital hallway. A nurse pins a small badge to your shirt before you walk into a room. She doesn't explain why. She just says, "Wear this, always." That badge isn't measuring your heart rate. It isn't tracking your steps. It's counting something you cannot see, smell, or feel. Something that might already be passing through your body right now as you watch this. Most people think radiation is something rare. A meltdown, a mushroom cloud, a faraway disaster on the news. But here's the unsettling truth. You are being irradiated right now. By the sun, by the ground beneath your feet, by the bananas in your kitchen. So if radiation is everywhere, why does one kind kill you in hours, while another just quietly ages you? By the end of this, you'll understand why your own cells have been fighting this invisible war since the day you were born, and losing, just a little, every single day. Let's start with the basics, stripped of the jargon. Radiation is just energy on the move. Some of it is gentle, like the light from your lamp. Some of it is violent enough to tear atoms apart. That second kind is called ionizing radiation, and it's the one your body is actually afraid of. Here's the everyday analogy. Think of your DNA as a zipper, millions of tiny teeth, perfectly interlocked, holding the blueprint of you together. Gentle radiation is like wind blowing across that zipper. Nothing happens. But ionizing radiation is like a tiny bullet fired directly at the teeth. It doesn't just brush past, it knocks atoms clean out of place. Now, your body isn't defenseless. Every single day, trillions of your cells take these hits and simply repair themselves. It's basic cost-benefit biology. Minor damage in, quiet repair out. You've survived a lifetime of sunlight, X-rays at the dentist, and background radiation from the rocks under your house, because the math, most days, works in your favor. But that math has a breaking point, and that's where this story gets dark. In 1986, inside reactor number 4 at Chernobyl, a group of firefighters walked toward a glowing blue light rising from the wreckage. They had no idea that light was Cherenkov radiation, the visible signature of a nuclear core tearing itself apart. Within hours, their skin began to redden, like a sunburn that shouldn't exist. Within days, their bone marrow, the factory that builds your blood, simply stopped working. This is the part most people never learn. Radiation doesn't attack you all at once. It attacks in order of speed. The cells that divide fastest die first. That's why the gut lining fails early, causing catastrophic internal bleeding. That's why hair falls out. That's why bone marrow, which is constantly manufacturing new blood cells, collapses before almost anything else. Meanwhile, your heart muscle, which barely divides at all, can survive doses that would kill every other system first. Dr. Robert Gale, one of the physicians who treated the Chernobyl firefighters, later described a phenomenon almost too strange to believe. Some patients felt fine for days after exposure. A deceptive calm. Doctors call it the walking ghost phase, the body functioning normally while its repair systems have already been overwhelmed beyond saving. And this is the detail that should genuinely disturb you. Radiation damage isn't always immediate destruction. Sometimes it's a misprint. A single strand of DNA gets patched back together slightly wrong. Not enough to kill the cell, just enough to corrupt its instructions. That cell keeps living, keeps dividing. Years later, that tiny misprint can become cancer. This is why nuclear workers, radiologists, and Chernobyl survivors were tracked for decades afterward. The damage wasn't a single event. It was a slow-motion decision made inside a cell years before anyone could see the consequences. Here's the strange part. Your body has been preparing for this fight for millions of years, long before anyone understood atoms. Every living cell on Earth evolved bathed in background radiation, from cosmic rays to radioactive elements in the soil. Your repair enzymes aren't a modern invention. They're an ancient survival tool, refined over billions of years, because life itself has never existed in a radiation-free world. Your instincts even show it. Think about your gut reaction to spoiled meat, or your automatic flinch from extreme heat. Deep evolutionary alarms your body doesn't need to be taught. Radiation, though, breaks that old alarm system. You can't see it, smell it, or feel it burning you the way you'd feel a flame. Evolution never gave you a warning sensor for something invisible. Now here are the exceptions, the cases that seem to break the rule, but actually prove it. Some organisms, like the tiny water bear, the tardigrade, can survive radiation doses thousands of times higher than what would kill a human. Not because their DNA is unbreakable, but because their repair mechanisms are almost absurdly efficient, built by an evolutionary environment far harsher than ours. And doctors themselves exploit this same repair principle, deliberately. In radiation therapy, oncologists aim ionizing radiation directly at tumors, because cancer cells divide so fast they can't repair the damage in time, while your slower, healthier cells mostly recover. The very mechanism that makes radiation dangerous is the same one doctors weaponize to save lives. The rule was never that radiation is evil. The rule was always, speed determines survival. And once you see that pattern, you can't unsee it. So let's step back and look at the whole picture. Every hour of your life, cosmic rays are passing through your body. Some from the sun, some from stars that exploded before humans existed. Your cells absorb the hit, repair the damage, and move on. Mostly. And mostly is the most important word in this entire story. Because that's what radiation really is. Not a monster in a reactor, not a villain from a disaster film. It's a constant, quiet negotiation between destruction and repair that's been running inside you since before you were born. One you will never consciously feel, and one that never fully stops. The firefighters at Chernobyl didn't die because radiation was uniquely evil. They died because a process your body performs silently, successfully, billions of times a day, suddenly had more work than it could ever finish. And maybe that's the real lesson hiding inside all of this. You've spent your entire life standing in a storm you were built to survive. One invisible hit at a time, one silent repair at a time, right up until the moment the math finally runs out.